Greetings, people of the internet. This is Scott with Serkworks Art Labs, welcoming you to the underground lair, home of Serkworks Industries, purveyors of fine robot, alien, zombie, and other imminent threats to humanity's themed goods. And sometimes we do Miscrits. And if you're tuning in for that, you're in luck, because that's what we're going to do today. And the other cool thing is we are about halfway through with our Miscrit series. I think we might even be more than halfway. First, we started off with a little introduction, and then we had a little bit of a snafu in the middle there, and I filled that with sort of a behind-the-scenes look at Apollo Knox. But we did our first evolution, and we've done the first 2 videos for our second evolution. Remember, there's 4 evolutions in a Miscrit, so once we wrap this one up, after today, we will have finished our second Miscrit, and next week we'll probably be moving on to our third. So yeah, we're halfway done. So super excited to get to this one. I'm sure all of you guys are too, because I think everyone. I've noticed just the view counts and everything. It seems like people are more interested in seeing the actual completed Miscrit, and that's understandable, because that's the exciting part, when you kind of see the whole thing come together. So this should be a good one. So I don't want to waste any more time. You know, let's get to it. Let's go down to the color lab. We're gonna start filling in that line art and putting the color into our Miscrit, our second evolution. And yeah, we're going to finish this guy today, so let's get to it. I'll see you down in the color lab. All right, so welcome to the color lab, where we start adding color in digitally. And what we're doing now is we're basically taking our line art drawing that we saw in the previous episode. It was a little hard to tell what was going on in that, in the line art version, and I apologize for that. But that's just the way, that's just the way I draw stuff, Miscrits. But now you see what I'm doing is I'm just selecting each one of these lines, and then above that you see the little color palettes, and then I just go take my eyedropper tool, click on that color palette, and it will fill it. It will just automatically fills in each one of these shapes. So the main thing I'm doing is just going in, and you'll see me go through and do that process, select all the line art. So you can see, like, right now we're doing reds, and I usually do one color at a time. So I'll start with the blues, I'll do all the blues, and of course I might forget something and have to go back to it, but then I'll go to the reds or whatever. Now I'm kind of filling in some of these darker grays, and then we're gonna, we'll get to the point where we start figuring that now we just added the yellow for the tail, and now we're gonna do like a lighter kind of a creamy color yellow for the claws and everything. And now you start to kind of see it take shape, but it's really flat. And then once we get all of those shapes done, and this part goes pretty quickly just because we already have everything drawn. It's just a matter of clicking the little palette that's up above, and it just fills in all those spaces, which is kind of cool. So the coloring, I don't want to say it goes quicker than the line art. It still takes time, especially once we start adding the shading in and everything, and we're going to give it some highlights and some shadows and things like that. So if you saw the Evolution 1 version of what we're doing here with the coloring, then I went a little more in depth. I don't want to go too in depth right now, just because I don't want to repeat what we've done. You can always go back to that and watch it, and I'll talk a little bit more about how I'm doing things and what tools I'm using and stuff like that. But some other things I wanted to talk about. So I've been going through your comments and everything, and I got a lot of good suggestions and everything, and I want to talk about some of those, and some things I definitely want to incorporate. And I think I even alluded to this in the last episode. Somebody left a really cool comment. It was a while back. But really cool idea that I hadn't even considered. A lot of times people leave comments and things that I'm like, oh yeah, that's kind of the direction I was going, or I wanted to do that, or we're going to do that to a certain extent. But we did get some really cool suggestions. The one that I got was from Michael Ritchie, who suggested that we add, or that we name the character Ursus Thespiana, I think. And the thing that got me with that was, because we're already going sort of with a thespian theme, which was cool. But I hadn't thought of like Ursa Major and Ursa Minor, like the constellations. And I was thinking, well, that would really work in well with what we're doing here, because we're talking about this character being a performer, and performers are like what, like rising stars, like movie stars and things. This is more, I'm thinking, we're kind of going more with a theatrical angle of it, but there's still stars, like whatever, theater stars or whatever, star of stage and screen or whatever. And then, I was thinking, well, the constellation thing, that kind of fits in. So in more ways than one, you've got the figurative star of being like a movie star or a stage star, and then the literal star of like the stars in the sky and the constellations, and the fact that we're working with a bear themed Miscrit, it just seems to really fit. So I really do like that. I really do like that suggestion. So we definitely are going to start incorporating. So what I'm thinking and we might not see this on this evolution, at least not what I'm drawing here. But I may even go back and add little hints of this. You might not see it on this video, but maybe when the final, because sometimes I'll go back in and we'll add little things. We have to tweak things, like especially if we're trying to get something in the game, there might be little changes and things that we want to, Broken Bulb wants to make, assuming that this goes in the game or whatever. But so I might add some little things. But what I want to do is where I want the blue in him to start getting like darker and deeper blue, and then start to gradually through, maybe see a little bit of in this evolution, maybe not much, but definitely this next evolution, we want to see the hint of some like glowing stars like within his body, like he's this celestial body, like the blue is actually like, the night sky. And I think that'll give a really good contrast. And I think it also adds a lot to the fact that we're going with the theme of this character, or the element. Each, I'm sure you guys that are watching this, you probably know about Miscrits, but they each have different elements. There's 6 total, and the element we're using for this character, this creature, is lightning. So that's kind of why he's got the lightning tail, and lightning is just sort of a general term in the Miscrit universe for anything that's, whether it's electrical or generates some sort of electricity or illuminates or anything like that. So it's sort of like a blanket term for that. So that's why we've got, the bulbs that are kind of on his gauntlets and everything. And if you notice with this, what we did was when his first evolution, he had all these little bulbs, and now they've kind of evolved together. They've kind of formed together. The smaller ones kind of come together to form bigger bulbs, and those are going to be a little more powerful. And especially once, at least the ideas I have for the next few Miscrits, that's going to come into play, and they're going to become even more. You're going to see they're going to take kind of a different shape, and they're going to start to become more than just things on his gauntlets, and more of a power source and everything. And we're going to see some real energy coming out of those and everything. And because of that, because he is sort of energy based, the idea of the glowing stars within him, I think that really works really well. So I just like that dual theme of the celestial stars, as well as like the the theater star. So anyway, I thought that was really cool. Another cool suggestion, I don't know if it's Mr. Coors 71 or just MR Coors 71, suggested that we introduce because the theatrical angle that we add, sort of maybe like the skull that you see in Hamlet. So maybe he's kind of got that skull or something, which I'm thinking maybe the next one we might do something like that. Maybe not the skull, but maybe he's kind of holding up like one of these masks, because I don't want the skull to kind of come out of nowhere. And that's one thing you want to be cognizant of when you're doing these Miscrits is, everything is supposed to be an evolution, so it has to kind of start with somewhere. And since we didn't establish that in the beginning, but we do have these masks, so it might be cool for the mask, him kind of be holding up like the mask, like in Hamlet. And the other thing was the Phantom of the Opera, which I had already kind of considered that as part of it, just the mask that he's not just the theater mask like the drama mask that you see on his shoulders here, but the mask that's kind of over his face. Maybe it's not that evident, but that was kind of my idea behind that. Was it was sort of like a Phantom of the Opera type mask, and I know there's different versions of it. Some of it's like a full mask, some of it's a half mask. So I don't know if we'll do too much more with that theme on this, other than what we've already established, and hopefully that comes through. But if it doesn't, yeah, we'll have to see. But he'll continue to have some sort of that type of mask. And of course, we've still got the cape and everything. I like the idea of the cape. It started with a scarf, and now it's getting a little bit bigger, and it's going to get even more bigger and bigger. And also, I like the idea of the red, almost like curtains, like in a theater, the curtains when the curtains draw back. So it's kind of got that curtain look. So that's kind of cool. So back to the Miscrit. Let's see, now what we're doing is we are, of course, filling in our shadows and our highlights. You can see, like if you look at the cape there, you see sort of the bright red highlights and the deeper red highlights, or shadows like underneath. Like now I've put even a deeper one. And then you can see what I just did there is I adjust the transparency a little bit on some of those to give sort of a shadow behind where his hand's coming in front of his body and everything. And again with the some of the highlights and things. So yeah, he's starting to come together. It's really cool. So in addition to comments, so last time we were going through comments, and I had mentioned somebody wanted to know all the different Miscrits I've done. And so I listed those on the other ones. If you have any questions about any of those, be sure to let me know. But a lot, I think a lot of your guys' favorite Miscrits were probably done by another artist, Chris Mendoza, who I've been seeing on social media, on his Facebook page and on his website. He's been posting some really cool stuff. So if I can remember, I'm going to put a link in the descriptions to his social media stuff. But if you aren't already following him on Facebook, you should do so, because what he's doing is he's taking some of the old Miscrits that he did, and like me, he used to work at Broken Bowl, but he's kind of moved on. I think he's working for another game company now. But he's been taking some old Miscrits, and he's just doing like he's got like I don't know if it's a Galaxy Note or what phone tablet type thing that he has, but he's been doing these sketches on his tablet, and he's taken some of his old Miscrits and he's been coloring them, like painting them, making, instead of now the look that you see here, what you're looking at now, it's a very vector style look, and that's the style of the game. But if you look at some of the backgrounds, we had sort of a painted style backgrounds, the stuff that they battle against, it's more of a painterly style. And the cool thing is these drawings that he's doing, he's taking Miscrits that you've already seen, but he's giving them more of a painterly look, and it's really cool, so you should check it out. He did one, I think the first one he did was like the Easter Miscrit, which I think it was like a chick or something, but I could be wrong. That one I don't really remember too much, but the one he did most recently, it was like one of my favorite Miscrits. When he designed that and he showed it to me for the first time, I'm like, oh man, this is awesome. This just raises the bar for pretty much all other Miscrits. But that was Poltergust, which is sort of this, like a poltergeist type, like a ghost type Miscrit. And the cool thing is he's like transparent, and he's got armor, and you can kind of see through him, and you can see the armor on the other side, and he's just kind of got these like the standard kind of Miscrit eyes that we all kind of know and love, that we see on most of the Miscrits, but they're just kind of floating in his head. And it's just really cool with the transparency and the armor, because he's pretty much just this ethereal, mass of wind or something. He's a wind type Miscrit, and but then he's got the armor and everything, and it's just kind of sitting there floating, and it's just really a really cool design. And what he's doing now with it, making it kind of taking it and painting it and making this painterly look, it's really cool. So hopefully I'll remember to, when I post this, to put the description. Definitely check out Chris Mendoza's stuff. You guys will be crazy about it, especially since if you're Miscrit fans, now that he's back to doing some, and this is just fun stuff that he's doing. Again, he's just doing it on the side, but taking some of his old Miscrits, and he's really has done most of the coolest Miscrits in the game. So you definitely should check that out. But yeah, so we're wrapping up this is our second evolution. We're almost wrapped up, so we're halfway done. We're going to start next week. We're going to start doing our other Miscrits, but be sure to like the page. Be sure to leave comments. If you have any questions, let me know. And if you haven't subscribed, please do so. And I'll catch you guys later, and see you next week. And that is all.